So maybe like first or second day after I came to UAE, I went to a metro station and I found a separate seating for women, and it was like written on the bench in the metro station for women. And there were a couple of men sitting there and approached, they saw me, they stood up, and then I entered the metro cart and I found a separate cart only for women and children. And that was, um, you know, that was so strange for me. I felt special. When I started to learn about Islam, um, I realized that Islam is such a high moral religion and that this is something I really miss in my life. I need this, I need this high standards, you know. I feel that my life became a little bit more in order and yeah, I can't say it was easier, but it was more peaceful.
The following is a conversation with Maria from Russia, who shares a journey to Islam. From a young age, she felt a desire to learn about religion, but as an atheist, she never pursued it deeply. That changed when she visited Dubai, where she encountered Islam for the first time. Despite the negative portrayal of Islam in the media, Maria's experience in Dubai showed her a different reality. She witnessed the beauty of the faith firsthand and was inspired to learn more. In this interview, she shares how her perceptions changed and what ultimately led her to accept Islam.
So I'm from Russia, from southern part, and well, officially the religion there is Christianity, Orthodox, but the majority of people are agnostic, so they acknowledge God, but they don't really practice any religion.
What was your religious or spiritual background when you started learning about Islam?
In my teenage years, I was drawn a couple of times to learn about religion because in our we didn't really have it in our culture or in our family. In my upbringing, there was not much of religion. So a couple of times I had like this feeling that I want to learn more. But unfortunately, every time, first of all, I didn't know from where to start, and I was kind of lost. So at the end, when I first came across with Islam in a Muslim country, I was probably an atheist. So I believed mostly in the power of mind, you know, like in that you can project everything, that you can plan everything on your own life, and that your life is fully in your hands and under your control. So that was my belief. I truly believed in the strength of human brain and in psychology. I think at that moment psychology was more of my religion than anything.
What caused you to start exploring other spiritual paths?
So when I came to Dubai, things started to go in a way that I did not plan, and they were even better than I could even imagine. So at that moment, I started to think like, okay, so if it wasn't me who manifested this, then who? And you know, sometimes if things go wrong, you kind of blame it on misfortune or I don't know, lack of planning or something like that. But when things are going better than you expect and you understand that you actually didn't do anything about it, this was a turning point for me. This was when I first time felt the need of gratitude to someone or something that that made this happen in my life. And that's how I started to think more about
Mhm.
religions, not
Not
particularly
Islam, right? What was your perception of Islam before you learned about it?
Um, I traveled to a Muslim country 12 years ago, and Alhamdulillah, I've been Muslim now a bit more than 11 years. And at that time, I'm coming from the West, right? From Western background. At that time, Islam was characterized by media, by movies, series, everywhere. Billion was a Muslim, and in news as well. And so I had this feeling that Islam is violent, that Islam is dangerous, and uh, coming even here to a Muslim country was um, for my mom. She was very worried, even though I knew already that this country is very developed and there's a lot of expats, and like it's like hot pot here. But yeah, personally, for my mom, it was very difficult. It was a hard pill to swallow that I'm going to a Muslim country. Uh, but yeah, when I came, the picture was totally different from my perception of Islam.
Tell us what exactly changed your views on Islam.
So maybe like first or second day after I came to UAE, I went to a metro station and I found a separate seating for women, and it was like written on the bench in the metro station for women. And there were a couple of men sitting there and approached. They saw me. They stood up, and then I entered the metro cart, and I found a separate cart only for women and children. And that was, uh, you know, that was so strange for me. I felt special somehow. I don't know, but I felt special just because I'm a woman, you know, that I have a separate seat and where men cannot sit, where I have a separate card for me to travel if I don't want to sit next to a man, or, you know, um, and that was like uh, that was the first thing that I remember how Islam actually entered my life. Yeah. And then I became very curious. I felt like the religion that is supposed to oppress women doing this, it's kind of weird. So maybe it's cultural rather than religious. And then I got to know that it's actually religious because culture here is very much entwined with religion, law as well. So it's all based on Islam here, alhamdulillah. And and then I just started to be very curious. I started to read here and there, and Allah has sent me Muslims as my friends, as my circle, um, from very different backgrounds, from different parts of like born Muslims from different parts of Middle East, from Africa, and even I met. She's still my friend, my dear friend, a Russian Revert from St. Petersburg. And yeah, so I started to ask questions, and this is how little by little, from curiosity that Allah has put in my head or in my heart, I started to learn about Islam more and to fall in love with it more.
What finally convinced you to accept Islam?
When I started to learn about Islam, um, I realized that Islam is such a high moral religion, and that this is something I really miss in my life. I need this. I need this high standards, And then I thought, like, okay, what if it's not only Islam? What if it's every religion like this? And maybe I don't really need to be a Muslim to live life of high morals, and I can be a better Christian rather than becoming a new Muslim. So I really truly started to read more about Christianity. I started um, to investigate. I even read some things um, about Judaism, especially the way they treat women, because it was like most, as I said, it's something first that shook me, because unfortunately I didn't have this special feeling back in Russia. We don't have this cult of a woman. Uh, Maybe it might sound very weird, but I feel that in Islam there is. Women are special, and I never came across with it, so it was alien to me, but also was amazing, you know. So I started to read like how Christians are treating women, how in Judaism women are treated, and in general, I had a lot of questions regarding Christianity. I started to read, um, and more going into the this knowledge, I realized that there's nothing is moving me inside as much as Islam does. And so I decided to quit it and continue learning about Islam. And probably that time I was already somehow subconsciously considering becoming a Muslim. But the step which I took was I used to travel a lot for my work in a region. And just before my travel to Bahrain, I read a very, very thin book. It was Scenes in Islam. And I read it. It was just very little pages, you know. And these are the scenes which are haram, yeah, let's say. And then when I stopped reading this book, like when I finished it, I realized that I actually don't do any of it right. So maybe I can be a Muslim. So the next day I traveled to Bahrain, and those people who have ever flied from Dubai to Bahrain, they know that there is a lot of turbulence. Yeah. So the at some point it's even scary. For me, it was a first experience of turbulence, and it was scary. Even though I was warned that there's gonna be turbulence, it's normal. It's always like this. But I was really scared, and I remember my thoughts when I was sitting in the plane to Bahrain. I thought like, what if I die right now? I die not as a Muslim. What's gonna happen to me? And when I came back from Bahrain, I just went for a couple of days. And when I came back from Bahrain, I reverted in the car from the airport to home. I took my shot.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Um,
I kept on thinking about it while I was in Bahrain. And then experiencing the turbulence again and the way back, I realized that no, if I'm to leave this world now, my biggest regret will be that I never took a step.
what was the biggest challenge you faced after becoming a Muslim?
I believe, and I think even some sheikhs were talking about it, that when you take a decision purely for Allah, Allah is going to test you somehow in this. And it's not only about shahad, it's about any decision that you take. So the first decision that you take for Allah is shahada. Yeah. And I believe that every new Muslim is somehow tested, and they are usually tested in the weakest point. Yeah. I had my test as well, but I don't want to share it. It's very personal to me. Alhamdulillah, I recognized it and learned my lesson. But my challenge was, of course, it was prayers to switch my life to work around the prayer times. Um, and the second biggest one was when I reverted, I was like, actually, hijab was one of the points that took me, like, holded me from taking the step from from becoming Muslim. But I thought, like, if I cannot become a Muslim, and if I cannot cover my head, then why should I revert to Islam to become a bad Muslim? Yeah, a mediocre Muslim. Maybe I should be a better Christian or something. So it kind of holded me back from Islam. And I did not wear hijab for 1.5 years after I reverted. And to be honest, I made this decision. Okay, that there are so many Muslims who are not wearing hijab. Maybe I can be just one of them. So I thought after my reversion, after Islam has embraced me, I thought that I will not wear hijab. Okay, but no hijab. But Allah had His own plans on me, and now I'm wearing hijab. Alhamdulillah, for in April it's gonna be 10 years. Inshallah.
MashaAllah.
So
Truly, truly
never
glad.
regret the decision. I swear
MashaAllah.
to God, never regret this decision.
Truly glad for your sister. How would you compare your life before and after becoming a Muslim?
So yeah, I have this we call it in Russia excellent student thinking. So when I reverted to Islam, um, I started to go to a Muslim school for Muslim women, and I've been learning a lot from there. I also was on a WhatsApp group for newly reverts, and there was, alhamdulillah, I don't know, I mean maybe 70% of what I know now, it's from that group. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless Asma who created this group. It was really uh, very useful information, a lot of guidance, because unfortunately you can get lost in the amount of information. And that actually was part of the challenges as well, to filter the information. But alhamdulillah, now there are a lot of people who are helping. Anyway, so um, my life after, I felt more responsible. I felt that I need to pray now. I need to think of more ways to do good. In general, I think I became a better person, and I kind of felt in peace. Not only because I had this opportunity in this life to take the Shahada, but also my life became somehow like it got the meaning, you know. Even if I don't have anywhere to run, or I don't have a job, or I don't have a hobby, or I don't have family, I still have something to live for, you know, and to that. So the difference was definitely the meaning of life, different, values different, the feeling of responsibility, which maybe some people will be burdened with, but personally for me, it's kind of a discipline. If I'm not responsible for anything, I'm all around the place. But if there is a responsibility hanging upon me, I'm kind of gathered, you know. So yeah, I feel that my life became a little bit more in order, and yeah, I can't say it was easier, but it was more peaceful.
Why should people learn about Islam?
Islam, first of all, it's very social religion. I realized it just this year, subhanAllah, being already 11 years a Muslim, I realized that everything in Islam is actually turned through God through Allah, towards people. So the majority of our mm, mm, good deeds and ibadah uh, is actually serving other people. And I strongly believe that Islam, it has it has two meanings, right? It has the meaning of submission, and it has the meaning of peace. So I believe that if everyone, I'm not only talking about non-Muslims, everyone, Muslims included, everyone will learn about Islam, we will not have wars and we will not have conflicts. We will live in peace. And the more important is that I believe that Islam brings not only peace in the community, the outer peace, but the inner peace as well. And this is so precious, especially in our times when we are so, the pace of life is so fast and everything around is stressing us out, that inner peace is a real gem nowadays. So I believe that even if you are not the activist for peace in the world, then at least for your own sake.
What is something that would have made your transition to Islam easier?
So my transition definitely better with filtered information, which honestly I had someone who was filtering my information that was coming about Islam. Yeah. Uh, but the second thing is definitely the community of readers. At that time, there was not many channels on YouTube that would, like you, Adine, interview newly reverts and share their stories. Meeting more people who took the step earlier than me, who would give me some advices, how to present it to my family, what to do with nails. Yeah, because I've learned, for example, that I cannot put a nail polish after some time. So um, these things, small things that we cannot know, like these things are insider information, you know. Uh, Definitely the community. I think the community of reverts, it's a trend for new reverts.
What advice would you give to someone considering converting to Islam?
I would advise them to think what stops them, because usually those are the things that are not very valuable in our lives. It's just small. I remember my concern, one of the concerns was how will I go to the beach in Booking? And now I realize that I don't really like beach much. I prefer woods. I prefer forest. So, this was something that was really stopping me from taking Shahada. I mean, how insignificant is it? So I would really advise to think what actually stops you to do it, and to analyze if it's significant or it's just your brain making it up, making it look big, to not to go where he doesn't know, not to make something new. Um, and also, if you're scared, it's normal. Uh, don't be shy. Approach Muslims, approach maybe sheikhs, to ask the questions that stop you from taking this step. And yeah, fear is normal thing, but we need to remember that yes, your life is definitely going to change, and your brain is just scared because he doesn't understand whether it's going to be a good change or not. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows the future. But it's definitely not going to be that change. It might bring some difficulties, but it will definitely bring some peace in somewhere else with more importantly.
Maria, I want to thank you for being my guest, and it was a pleasure to have you here.
The pleasure is all mine, as I said, and I really, really want to, at this moment, I really want to remind for myself first, because as my friend says always, my mouth is closer to my ears, that intentions are always the most important in this life. And you can make wash your entire life through correct intention. And may Allah purify my intentions and your intentions at the end of what you're doing, and may
Amen.
Allah grant barakah what you're doing, because it's
Amen.
difficult, but it's rewarding.
Thank you for watching. If you or someone you know has a story of embracing Islam, we'd love to hear it. Your journey could inspire and uplift others. Feel free to reach out to share your story on this channel. Let's continue to celebrate the beauty of faith in the diversity of our experiences. Please share this video and don't forget to subscribe for more meaningful content. See you in the next one, inshallah.